What time is it? It's MLS Fantasy time, Week 8, tier list and team building. Here we go. My name is Cooper. My fantasy team name is Pancake FC, named after the lazy dog taking a nap on the other side of the room. I do want to apologize if my mouse clicking and or keyboard typing is kind of slow today. I have a fractured finger in my right hand with a cast over it, so that's kind of making it a little awkward. But we're going to power through. We're going to start with a quick look back at how my team fared last week. Then we'll do the tiers, and then we will make my speculative team for the coming week, although as you'll come to see, this coming week doesn't really have a ton of room for variety, so I would guess my team won't change a lot. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and get into what happened for me last week. To be honest, I don't really remember what my team looked like when I made the video last week. I think this is a little ways different. We'll just start with the defense. Stephen Fry, thank you to whoever on Discord let me know. I think Ben, the correct pronunciation. Stephen Fry had a good week. Seattle's defense in general did very well. Alex Roldan with a big 16 points. He had 14 before the points correction, so that was nice to get those 2 points back. Brooks Lennon got 6 points, which is great without a clean sheet. He's I think the most nailed on defender, matchup proof defender in the game right now by some distance. My bench defenders, I punted on Guzan for the early game, didn't quite pay off. I think I put Kai Wagner in like the tier last week, or trap tier. I still fell into that trap. I don't really regret it though too much. It was kind of just a swing on a bench play. It didn't really pay off, but that's fine. Totland hit though. Going with St. Louis definitely paid off. Going to the midfielders, Driussi had a huge week. Costa, not so much. That Cincinnati offense is really sputtering, but 7 points, nothing to complain about. Ryan Gauld, I think I had to drop Evander. I don't remember. Maybe it's because I fit Wagner onto my bench is what messed it up. Guzan's expensive too. That was probably it that made it so I had to drop Evander. But since Klaus only got 5, I had to pick up Tommy from the SKC game. It only lost me a point. It was something that, I had to do, might as well. Worst case scenario was Tommy got 3, and it's still only minus 2 points from that. It was well worth the risk. I was disappointed that he did get a 4, but, it is what it is. Ricky Pooch didn't do much, but 5, I think, is still tied for lowest score he's had this whole season. Has the best floor of any player in this game right now. Ryan Gauld snuck in here at some point, got a good 10 points. Buanga was a right choice for the captaincy. Cristiano Arango. Chicho had a good game, as kind of always right now. Then, like I mentioned, Klaus didn't quite hit, but he had a lot of chances. Martin, I think Paz from FC Dallas had a really good game. Klaus could have scored, definitely. So it wasn't a bad idea. I was lucky enough to avoid the Cucho red card 0 game. I think every week that Cucho has done well, I've had him, and every week that he's flopped, I haven't. So it does seem like I kind of have a sixth sense on when to take him and not. I was lucky to avoid him. I feel really bad for people who capped him. What can you do? That's just brutal. Just a brutal pick. Let's go ahead and get onto the tiers. I'll go over my points real quick. What I do? I got 35 for the week and bumped up to 127, which is good, but I think there was a point in the game week where I was like 80 something. So I am hoping to crack the top 100 this coming week. Although right now for the coming Champions League spots, I'm sitting 30 something. So I'm well on pace to hopefully qualify for the Champions League. Tier list. Let's do it. I'm gonna start with the goalkeepers and then just move from there. So I think the best option defense right now is Charlotte. They're the ones I like the most. Christian Kalina isn't really too expensive either. He's 6.9, not bad at all. Toronto's offense has been poor. Charlotte's defense has been good. Since I set up this tier list, Dean Smith said that Malanda is either doubtful or questionable. I don't like that, but I still think I give Charlotte the best odds of a clean sheet. We'll come to Malanda in a second, but even if he doesn't play, I think the backup would be like Tuiloma. Still, he's not bad. They're a very well organized defense. It's not like they're relying on individual performances in their defense to get it going. They're a very well organized team. Hopefully, it doesn't make too much of a difference. Another good goalkeeping option is Carlos Coronel. The Red Bulls are playing Chicago this coming week. Chicago does have a good attack, but if you're looking at the earlier game home defenses, the Red Bulls are still a good option. Still a good option, as is Matt Freese from NYCFC. They are playing New England. I am afraid of Carlos Hill. Of these three keepers, I think Matt Freese is probably the one I would feel the worst about, but you never know. You could take a good. He might really be a fun punt. Might be a better category to put him in. They'll probably be more accurate. I like, to be honest, New York City's chances of not just scoring but keeping a clean sheet if they can just keep Carlos Hill pinned down. New England is a team that gets a lot of the ball, but they're also a team that doesn't really do a lot with it. I'm not really sure how it's going to translate to the smaller field at Yankee Stadium. But I guess we'll see. It's worth a thought, worth a shout, and New England did get thumped midweek. Although I do think like every MLS team that's gotten walloped in CCL midweek has won the next game, because Philly lost 6-0, beat Portland. There was another team that did it too. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was. But it happened to somebody else too. So if New England did it, then there's a really weird trend there. Good budget option, I think, is Dane St. Clair. Minnesota give up a lot of XGA. They give away a lot of chances. They get scored on too. So, that's not great. They just give up a lot of it. But still a decent fixture. Minnesota against, who are they playing again? Houston, it is a good fixture. Houston are one of the worst offensive teams in the league. Another team that do keep a lot of the ball, but don't do a lot with it. Although opposed to New England, they do protect the ball quite a bit. But that Houston offense is not very good. Not very good. Minnesota definitely have a chance. And Dane St. Clair is pretty cheap. Very good budget option. In terms of a late game goalkeepers for the keeper switcheroo, Berkey is pretty much the best you're going to do. He did. St. Louis kept the clean sheet against FC Dallas last week, but it wasn't like a good defensive team performance really at all, to be honest. They gave up a lot of chances. Seeley should have scored. He missed a sitter. And then Berkey made at least 3 fantastic saves to shut FC Dallas out. But if you look at these late game options, there's just nothing better. There's nothing better. Atlanta Philly should be a barn burner that's going to have some goals in it. San Jose, can't trust that. How often do teams let in 4 goals and then keep a clean sheet the next week? Not often. And then I wouldn't really trust these away defenses too much. Although, Berkey is the best you're going to do. If you want to kind of play with the game times a little bit, Salt Lake and Columbus do start just 2 hours after the 6:30 games, so it is cutting a little bit close. But if you think Columbus is going to be kind of wore out from their CCL game midweek, then if you want to shoot on McMath or Nelly, that's worth a shot. But I do kind of think Real Salt Lake as a team and as a defense are a team that you don't really want to bet on. You don't necessarily want to bet against them either, but I would go from all this still with Roman Berkey. Let's get on to the defenders. Talked about Thiago Martins last week. I'm going to talk him out of again. He's probably in the middle between good option and fun punt. I think New York City they've been getting better. And Thiago Martins, I like his bonus points. He was really the first player for some reason that I thought of for this coming week. So I like him as an option. His BPs are good. This is a nice time to take him. New York are also, I think, starting a stretch of home games, or they started last week. So hopefully they can settle into some kind of rhythm. We'll see how that goes. O'Toole is a good budget option on the defense if you do want to take a swing at that New York defense. He actually had a lot of bonus points last week, but don't let that fool you. Prior to that, I don't think he's really put up a lot. But again, he's cheaper. I think he's like 5.8, something like that. So good option. Yara Urinen from Charlotte is a great way to get into that defense. He's only 6.2. He's been putting up some better bonus points, like key passes and maybe a crossing one. I'm not so sure. He is the left back. He does get up the field sometimes. So if you do want a shot at offensive output, there you go. Malanda, like I mentioned, is doubtful. So just pretend this maybe says Malanda / Privet or just Privet. Privet is 0.2 more expensive than Malanda, but if Malanda's not starting and you want to do Charlotte, then Privet's the move. So just pretend that says one or the other, whichever's starting. In fact, even if Malanda does start, I would I'll probably still go Privet, or would recommend it just in case Malanda got subbed at some point because of fitness. So we'll see on that. Tolkien, really good budget option if you want to go with the Red Bulls defense. I'm not quite as high on their shots at a clean sheet as some other people, but you still never know, and they still have a decent chance. John Tolkien, not the guy like he was last year. Um, I think he's dirt cheap. He's at most like 5.8 right now. He may be way cheaper. I can't exactly remember how far he's fallen, but a good budget friendly option. Nealis, I think this is probably referring to Dylan Nealis, not Sean Nealis. Sean's a little bit pricier, and they have some similar scores. I think recently, actually, Dylan Nealis's bonus points have been better than Sean's. I think Dylan's like 6.3, Sean's 7 point something. So, if you want to spend a little bit more money on a Red Bulls defender, I like Nealis. Let's talk Julian Gressel. He is the king of the trap players right now. I would say straight up, don't take Julian Gressel this week. I think that even if it works out, I think it was still a foolish pick. You could say, well, maybe you want to take him just in case he hauls. He's only hauled once this year, and that was a weird game against Orlando, where he also got subbed early. Excuse me. His minutes are bad, and he did just go the full 90 in a brutal CCL loss. Miami's defense is bad. Gressel's role is constantly changing. He's not reliable. Don't do it. Maybe in a few weeks, once Miami is settled into just doing the MLS thing, he will be a better option. I would not be surprised at all, but right now, don't do it. Don't do it. It is a trap. Speaking of traps, Marino Hinestroza is also the crown prince of trap players right now at 4.9 as a very out-of-position player, too. He is a winger. He is not a defender. He's very talented, too. He had a really great game CCL midweek, I think last week. Super talented player, very dribbly, but a trap. His minutes, it's really just his minutes are really bad right now. He's not trusted very much. I would not be surprised if he starts this weekend. I bet he will start. I would say don't do it. I know it's alluring, but he just seems to get subbed early no matter what before he really gets the chance to do anything. I think there will come a point, kind of like Gressel, where Hinestroza is a good option. I don't think that point will come as soon as it will for Gressel. I would guess a lot later in the season. At some point, yeah, I bet Hinestroza is a good pick. Maybe even a great pick. To be honest, if he gets going, he's really out of position, like I said, but don't do it this week. It's a trap. It is a trap. Let's talk Markinovic. Let's do some St. Louis defenders. I think Markinovic is a good budget-friendly option. I don't really know what Dyer's status is. I think Markinovic is safe for this weekend. At the left-back spot, he actually had the highest points of any St. Louis defender this last week. He's like 4.9, so for a late-game budget defender, you can't really do better than that. If you want to go like Paul Murray, he's $4 million for San Jose. You can do it, but San Jose's defense is questionable at best. It's really funny. They actually have not allowed a lot of XG so far this season, but they have leaked goals like nobody else. They have not been good at home either, and Colorado, I think, have scored in all their away games. So I would probably urge against Murray or in goal like Willie Yarborough. Markinovic is probably a safer option. Brooke Lennon, I think for the moment, Brooks Lennon has to be S tier. I think he's the only defender in the game, given any week, is going to reach the status. This week will be a good test for him. Philly are going to be super, super tough, and especially given their striker situation. Tiare is hurt for a couple weeks. Giacomakis is, I think, we'll have to see, but seems like questionable right now. If he doesn't have that target to cross the ball to, what are his bonus points going to look like? This will be a big test for him. If he does well this weekend, I assume Atlanta's not going to keep the clean sheet. They're on their third and fourth string center backs. If he gets good points without that, then I think, 100% S tier, matchup proof. I feel that way now, but this week will be a good test for it. And it is a late game, too, so he's nice to kind of have as a placeholder in your starting lineup. Not in the starting lineup, but on the bench, Vander. You know what? I think I actually want to do Vander S tier. He's been remarkable lately. We're talking like borderline MVP form. He's been extremely good for Portland. Their defense is leaky as can be, but their offense is really firing, and Evander's at the heart of that. He's getting goals, he's getting assists, he's getting lots of bonus points, lots of chances. He's in the early game. You could not have a better player to pop on your bench than Evander. Definite S tier this week. Santi Rodriguez, I think, is a very, very good option this coming week. He had a really good game last week. He's actually been really good all season, but this is a good matchup at home for him to make some stuff happen against a really bad New England defense. I really like Santi Rodriguez this week. Emil Forsberg is a good option. I'm not quite as sure on him as I am a lot of these home midfielders, but I think he'll do well. He should be back. I hope he plays 90. If not, he should play close to it, but he is on set pieces. I think he'll be back on penalties, which should be good. And let's talk about that right now. So Lewis Morgan missed the penalty last week. I think last time they were both on the field together that Forsberg took the penalty. So I would guess if there's a pen, it's going to Forsberg. In fact, I'm going to put Lewis Morgan in the trap category. All of his big point hauls have come when Forsberg's not on the field. I don't think Morgan's getting the big points, the big touches, the chances when they're playing together. So I would go Forsberg over Morgan. If you want to throw Morgan on your bench, good luck, but I think it is a little trappy. Let's talk Ricky Pooch. I still think Ricky Pooch is an S-tier option. I actually have not seen very many people going with him this week. They have the away game against Vancouver. Vancouver are a good defense. I don't think they're a great defense. Statistically, they may be, but they don't feel like it. I mean, they lost at home to Real Salt Lake 2-1 like 2 weeks ago. It's not like that just didn't happen. It happened. They've let in some goals in some games. They played the low block more than anybody. They don't press a lot. I think Ricky Pooch, no matter what happens, is going to get a ton of touches. Tons of touches in the Vancouver side of the field. I mean, I think it's possible he gets 4 passing bonus points. It would be very surprising. It'd be incredible. But I think it could happen in this game. I actually think this is a good matchup for him fantasy-wise. I don't know. LA has a excellent offense. We'll see. It should be a good game, actually, to be honest. But I think this actually is a deceptively good matchup for Ricky Pooch. I just think he gets lots of touches. I just do. So I still think he's S tier. He's got the best floor of anybody in the game. You just can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. I really like Ryan Gauld this week too. He's really kicked into gear the last few weeks. Hopefully that can keep going. He is on set pieces. LA Galaxy have a terrible set piece defense. So hopefully we'll see a Ryan Gauld assist off of that. Hopefully he'll get some chances. He is a little bit unreliable sometimes in that his role has kind of shifted from time to time this year. And Vancouver do kind of tinker, but I think he's a really good option still. Acosta, I'm tempted to call a trap. I think I'm going to leave him in good option, but I think he's a borderline trap this week. He is very, very expensive. It is an away game. I know Montreal gave up 5 goals last week, but this is their first game at home, and Cincinnati's offense is bad. They're just straight up bad. I haven't looked. I don't care what the stats say or how many goals they've scored. Their offense is bad. Corey Barrett is already on the bench. I mean, that's been an immediate flop. Acosta's the guy, but he's up playing with 2 other players. Right now it's Kubo and Bupenza. No shade to Kubo, he's just not a forward. Bupenza is certainly underperforming right now. They play the 5 at the back. It's not like they're really getting numbers forward. He's still putting up good bonus points because it's Lucho Acosta. He's still probably a good option, but he's getting, I think, a little bit trappy. I do think there are really better midfield options than him this week, but still, unless he drops like a 2 or something this week, then it's not the end of the world if you go with him. It could still very well pay off. I mean, how often does a team let in 5 goals and keep a clean sheet the next week? Not often. Carlos Hill, also a good option. He's really the master of punishing you for not taking him in fantasy. He always hauls when you think he won't. He's going to get a lot of chances against New York City. New England are bad, so New York have that going for him. But Carlos Hill is really good, so you can't bet against him. Good option. I do think, though, there are a lot of really good home midfielder options this week. For me, you'll see when I do my team in a minute, but Acosta and Hill, I'm not really considering, but they're not bad options. I like Christian Espinoza this week. against Colorado. His goals, assists, and points have really kicked into gear the last few games. We're back to the Espinoza, leaning on Espinoza heavily, San Jose strategy, hoping he'll carry the team. It isn't really paying off for them, but it is paying off fantasy-wise. He's getting good points. I think he's a really good option this week, and he's got a late game. So if you want a late game midfielder, there you go. I think a fun punt this week is Cole Bassett. He has $9 million, so he's not cheap, but he's quietly put together a very solid season in Major League Soccer and for MLS Fantasy. He had a 2, I think, one week, but aside from that, his lowest game might be a 5. He might have had a 4, but he's had some good games recently. His bonus points are solid. If you want a differential midfielder, I think he's a fun pick. I really do. Driussi, I think, is a good option. Maybe a fun punt. I'm not sure where his price is at. For, kind of the upper echelon of midfielders, he might even be budget friendly. Maybe I'll just put him in fun punt. He has the late game, so that is good for him, and he had an amazing game last week. He's getting good touches. He's playing a good role for MLS Fantasy right now, the way the points are, getting the key passes, getting put in the dangerous spots that you want your midfielders to be put in, and also putting the ball in the back of the net. So it's a fun option. Thiago Almada, I'm not 100% sure where I want to put him. I might just settle him in good option, although I think he is a little bit trappy. This Atlanta team isn't working the same way it was last year. All their new pieces they've brought in over the last couple years are finally really clicking. It's not the Thiago Almada show anymore. He's not the guy. He's one of the guys, but he's not the guy. His points are still good. He's still getting some good chances. He's playing a little bit deeper, or at least collecting the ball a little bit deeper than he has in the past, but I don't hate that, to be honest. I think his passing bonus points have been good, too. He'll start putting the ball in the back of the net or getting assists more often, I think. Not sure if that is going to be this weekend against a very scary Philadelphia defense, but I still don't think you can go wrong. And again, a late midfield option, that's, fine. But like I said, Philly are scary, so he might be a little bit trappy. But I'll probably just leave him a good option for now. I think a great budget option is Rusnak from Seattle this week. He had a great game last week. A great game. If you think Seattle have turned the corner on their offense, then you think that's probably because of Rusnak coming back into the team. He's like 7.2, 7.3, playing a really sketchy FC Dallas defense in Dallas, but Dallas have not been good home or away, but maybe especially home. Rusnak's a fun, budget-friendly punt, I think. If you want to try something a little bit different, why not? Bouanga, probably just a good option this week. He got the points last week against the Galaxy in the Trafico, but his away form has been really bad. He has yet to have a goal or an assist away from home. If he's going to get one, though, you would think it is against this Portland defense. And he is playing on the left. Portland's right side of their defense is the worst of anybody in the league. So one thing, I would maybe almost elevate Denny Bouanga to S tier if Juan Mosquera is starting for Portland. The second they did it at halftime, they took him out of the game against SKC after they were 3 down and put somebody else in. They did not concede again that game. That's where they were giving up tons of pressure and chances the whole game. Mosquera is very talented going forward, but holy cow, he is defensively the worst right back in the league. Straight up. He is a terrible defender. Terrible defender. Bouanga would shred him. Bouanga might shred whoever's playing that spot. This is a good matchup for him, but he's yet to do it away from home. And he did miss the most egregious gimme you'll hardly ever see last week. This is not the same Denny Bouanga that we saw last year. He's still very good. I think he's going to put 12 to 15 in the back of the net, but he's not going to go past that number. I really don't see it. I think he's a good option, but we'll see how it goes. Dante Vanzeir, I think, is a fun punt this week. His minutes keep him from being a good option for me. He's been getting subbed a lot from 60 to 70, but he's still getting lots of goal contributions. He had the big game where he had the 4 assists. He had a couple goals recently. His bonus points aren't bad at all. He's a fun punt. He really is if you want to get in on that Red Bulls offense. I think going with Red Bulls this week, it's better to pick the offense than the defense. Since Chicago are decent going forward, they are really bad at the back. Red Bulls are going to get some chances. Christian Benteke, I'm big into this week. I am tempted to go S tier, but I'll probably just leave him at good option because he is egregiously unclinical. I mean, Benteke has missed so many chances this year. DC, it's either first or second for XG straight up. They have one of the best attacks in the league. They're an extremely impressive team. They're one of, if not my favorite team to watch, maybe in all of Major League Soccer right now. And Benteke is getting a ton of looks, which is good for his shooting bonus points. I think he's gotten the SGS bonus point every game this year. Maybe all but one, but that he's played. He's found the goal a bunch, but he's missed it a ton of times too. So you just got to decide how clinical you think he's going to be this week against Orlando, who have not been good defensively. I know they had the bye week, but I don't know if that magically fixed all their problems. So I really like Benteke this week. I think he's a borderline S tier option. His floor is really good for a forward. He gets really good bonus points. But, we'll see how it goes. There's been a lot of weeks. I think I've actually usually been off on Benteke and missed his big weeks, but hopefully, I'm going to take him this week. Hopefully I can buck the trend. Let's talk Bakrar. I think he's a fun punt this week. He has one of the highest XGs in the league right now, which is embarrassing in a sense because you want to talk unclinical. That's his middle name. I mean, he's living offside. Not on the same page as a lot of his teammates right now, but he is getting the chances, and he will get the chances against New England. Hopefully he puts them in the back of the net. He really needs to. So we'll see how that goes. I think it's a fun punt as like a bench play. Fafa Pikal is a really good pickup for Vancouver, by the way. I bet Cincinnati wish they took him instead of Corey Baird. He's been having a great few weeks. I think he's a really fun punt. He's going to get some chances going against that LA backline. I think he's a fun punt. I really, really do. Christian Arango, Chicho Arango, I think is an S tier option as of now. His bonus points are great. He has an incredible floor. He isn't just going forward. He's playmaking. He's putting away great chances. He's scoring from hard to score spots. He's doing everything right now for Real Salt Lake. I captained him 2 weeks ago, so I am his biggest fan, of course. I think he's an S tier option. You cannot go wrong going with Arango right now. Messi is complicated. If he starts, I think he's S tier. I don't think he's going to start, but I really do hope he does. Probably just put him good option. Even off the bench, I'm not going to take him off the bench. I just think as a rule, I'm against picking players off the bench, even Messi. But if you want to take him coming off the bench, then you can enjoy your points because he's been lethal coming off the bench. So probably just good option. I hope he starts because I do want to take him starting this week, but we'll have to wait and see. GG, so he is dealing with... Did I put Bakrar on here twice? I did. GG, if he's healthy, then he is a good option. If not, then he's not a good option. I wouldn't take him if he is coming off the bench, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of Atlanta fans kind of act like he's not going to, but I don't know who else they put up there. I mean, Tiara is hurt. I feel like they kind of need him to start. I don't know how many minutes he's going to play, but if he starts, I mean, he's got the best goal per minute ratio. At least he did last year. I mean, by country mile, I still think Messi might have him beat at this point, but he's still, I think, the best 9 in the league, period. He's a monster. I think he's the Golden Boot winner. He's just waiting to be crowned right now. So if he's starting, you can't go wrong. Just keep an eye out for that. Klaus, I could have been a week early on Klaus, to be honest. Against this Austin defense that have given up a crazy amount of chances and goals, he could feast. He had some really good chances last week. Really, really good chances. He's going to have some good chances this week. He is a late game striker. Really good option for that. Probably just put him good option. If he doesn't score this game, though, then he's probably not going to be on this list next week. If there are players that like you were thinking about or are wondering about that are on this tier list, I probably didn't consider them, or they're hurt. I haven't, if they're on the list, I haven't really seen them as a good option, is probably why. Or they're hurt. Carranza, let's talk Julian Carranza. Atlanta, like I mentioned earlier, their defense is depleted, so I would probably just call him a fun punt. He's been putting the ball in the back of the net recently. He is a late game striker, so for those late game striker options, you can go Pikal, Carranza, who else? GG, Klaus, all good options. So that'll probably be where I leave the tier list for now. I'm a little bit worried that this Bakrar was supposed to be somebody else, but maybe I'll look at it in a second and we'll remember. Let's go on to my team. Let's make my team for this week. So I'm going to try to, it's the autofill team. I want to lean on Charlotte's defense this week. I think I want to stack it. I just really think they have the best shot of keeping a clean sheet of anybody. Even if Milanda's out, Toronto's offense has been really bad. So I'm going to put all my chips on that. We'll get Christian Kalina, only 6.9, not too bad. Like I said earlier, Privet over Milanda because of the injury concerns, and we'll go Urinin for the attacking output. We'll see for now. I'm going to go with Thiago Martins. I do really want to take him. I wanted to last week. I'm going to toss him in here, but I am a little bit worried that he's going to find himself getting worked out just because I don't have too much of a choice. I'm going to pop in, instead of just a Nashville defender, they are the team on the bye. As a scrub, I'm going to put Anthony Markinich on there, sort of as a placeholder. I'm going to budget this team basically just as if like everything goes wrong. So if I have to fall back on a late game defender, I'm going to probably go with Anthony Markinich from St. Louis. And then we're also going to toss Brooks Lennon in here as well. I am extremely high on Lennon, as I've been talking about. I don't think you can go wrong there. Let's go ahead and move on to the midfielders. I'm not going to take Almada this week, but I am going to take Vander for sure. I like Espinoza this week. He's a fun pick. I like Forsberg this week for sure. I'm going to take a lot of these home midfielders. I really want to take Ricky Pooch, but I don't think that I can make it work. I'll show you why in a second. It's really just to keep money open for some other options. Ryan Gauld at 8.9 is very well priced too. I'm going to toss him in there again. I think he'll get some good looks. Let's go on to our forwards next. So Cucho, obviously not in play. Christian Arango, definitely going to start him. I'm not going to punt on Dante this week. I kind of want to build this team as if Messi starts because he's so expensive, and I do want him to start because I do want to take him this week. So I'm going to leave him in there for now, and then I really like Benteke this week. We've got one more midfield spot. Oh, yeah, Santi Rodriguez for sure is going to take up that last spot. Keepers, late game keepers. I think I'm just going to pop Berkey in there, just kind of because, like I mentioned earlier, those other options aren't so great. Let's go ahead to always hit save. Oh, that was perfect. That was a clean, full salary right there. So let's go ahead. I definitely want to start Benteke, and I want to bench Vander because he has the early game, if it'll let me. Maybe it won't let me. I'm going to refresh. Okay, so let's get Benteke in here for Vander. I'm going to want to start Brooks Lennon for sure. Maybe I'll do that. Something going to be on my bench? No, I got to put another defender on here? Yeah, okay. So here's the biggest problem you're going to see with this is if I want to have Thiago Martins in my team, then I'm going to have to start either him, Urinin, and Privet, which does bring in an element of risk. I'll tell you straight up, I think the smart thing to do would be to swap Privet for Martins and then scrub Martins for a Nashville defender. That way I can see the full Charlotte, performance without having to risk any of it and then have the fallback midfielders. But I would have to drop Martins, and I do want to take Martins. If I were to start any of these three guys, I would probably start Urinin. But I think really I'm probably just the smart thing to do, the safe thing to do, is just to drop Martins for Nashville. Pretty sure they have a 4.9 defender. Yeah, drop him for Josh Barr or Bayer. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's a little sad because I really want to take him. But it's just, I think it's the smart thing to do. If Messi doesn't start, because I think they play at 7:30, right? So I would see at 6:30 if he's gonna start or not. If he doesn't start, then I think I'd have some options on the pivot. I'm not super interested in like Teemu Pukki. He's just super goal dependent, and his minutes aren't very good either. I do like taking forwards that also have some bonus points that they can fall back on, not just the goals. So I'm not interested in Pukki. I'm not interested in any forwards from Houston, Salt Lake, aside from Orongo, or Columbus. Vancouver, like I think Brian White is. He's also little goal dependent for me. He's really the same as Pookie with better minutes. I could go with Picault. I do think he's a fun option, but there is also Joveljic from LA. I don't think I want to take him this week, but he is there. I'm not touching anybody on San Jose Attack or Colorado or Austin. Klaus again this week. Did I have him on here? Yeah, I did. As a good option. Maybe I would go with Klaus or Carranza. Although, if hopefully GG was starting, then I could drop Messi for GG. I think I'm just going to leave it like this for now, but hopefully Messi starts. Hopefully Charlotte keep the clean sheet. If not, I am in a little bit of an awkward spot, but I think this is set up okay-ish to pivot from that. But I guess we'll see. This is how I'm going to leave it for now, but don't be surprised come next week when I show my team if Thiago Martins found his way back in here. That is going to be it for the week. Except for the captaincy. I actually think captaincy is the biggest decision you're going to make this week. It's a really good spot for variance since a lot of these picks are going to be the same for a lot of people. I've seen Orongo as the most common option. I don't see it as much this week as Benteke. I think Benteke is going to have a big week. I just feel it. I feel it in my gut. I think he's going to have a good week. I'm just going with that. That's my gut feeling. If you want to captain Santi Rodriguez, I actually think that is a really fun pick as well. If you want to captain Evander, if you're starting him, I think that is a fun pick, but probably leave him on the bench just for the way the game's time. If you're starting Bouanga, I would not captain him. So I think I wouldn't save the captaincy for Messi either. So I'll probably... That's I guess a little bit how I feel about the captaincy options. I mean, Ronga's not a bad option. I'm just not feeling it as much this week. I think Benteke has a big week. I'm feeling that in my gut. So that is where my armband is going to go. That will do it for the week. I hope y'all have really good game weeks. Can put up some big points. I really hope somebody that I'm always chatting with on Discord or a viewer hits big on like a random hat trick or finds something like that. That would be really awesome to see. Very excited for how the weekend goes. I really hope, again, you'll have good weeks, find some good bonus points, find some good goals. That's going to be it. I will talk to y'all next week. Until then, best of luck.